Here we go. Live, Friday night live from Central Connecticut. 72 degrees under cloudy skies. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. Cliff Higgins in the house. Charles Blasey, good evening. Petro Chem Tester, it's on. Hello, Couch. Briar Blues. How are you doing? A little cooking in the kitchen this evening? Brad, Pipes and Kayaks. We have a Missouri Meerschaum hardwood with the tail end of some haunted bookshop. Charles just had some haunted bookshop himself. Ronnie, great to see you. Hope all is well with you. Lefty 68, good evening. Doug Owen. Doug Owen is in the house. Good evening, Dylan. We have 44 presently, which isn't too bad considering we are up against George Bruno live. He most certainly will yank some of my audience, but that's okay. Pipe Magic. Mark. Hello, hello, hello. Joey, good evening. Signalman Tony from Rhode Island, great to see you. The Tight Knit Piper. Ian Jones. Hey, we're doing all right. So, what have we got for tonight? Seeing Cliff Higgins reminded me of Cane Rod Piper. Some of you might have seen his video that came out this morning on, he's doing a new series called Faith Friday Chat, I believe, where he's getting into faith, religion. And have to admit, I was a little nervous, but of course, hoping the best for his endeavor. And he had invited video responses, of which I saw several. And Cliff Higgins did a really good one. Made me think about my own situation growing up, where I too was drugged off to church every week, but wouldn't change it for the world. So we will wish Mike all the best for his new series. And also the week has been an interesting one as far as comments in videos and emails that I received. I seem to get these waves of different topics from one week to the next. And this week it was all about Virginias. Some people asking what I think of Virginias, if I had tried certain Virginias, why I don't talk about Virginias. So I thought tonight I would touch on that subject. First, I have to unload this. Luke, Cincinnati Piper, good evening. So I did my video a few years back about Confessions of a Burley Lover, where I tried to explain my position on Virginias. And to kind of put that in a nutshell, I love Virginias. I don't love them as much as Burley. And most certainly, Haunted Bookshop wouldn't be Haunted Bookshop without the Virginia that's in it. And I have a great deal of respect for how Virginia and Burley works with each other in a blend. And let me get this going. We are going to do some C&D Red Virginia, which is a little lighter than the McClellan 5100. It's also more of a ribbon cut, where 5100 is kind of a coarse cut. 5100's a bit more moist, and I tend to steam my tongue off with the 5100, where that's not a problem with the C&D Red Virginia. However, I do have to say that there is a flavor in the 5100 that you just can't find anywhere. Although people have told me that the Sutliff match is to die for, and one of these days I will get a hold of some of that and try it out. So I would call the C&D Red Virginia a very good substitute if you're just looking to do Red Virginia and you can't get a hold of the 5100, of which there's still quite a bit floating around. I was lucky enough to get into a trade with Doug Owen, so I am sitting on still almost 2 pounds of this stuff. I had great intentions of using it for mixing, and I don't think I've mixed it once, but that's the way it goes. And we will enjoy this in a Peterson second. And I've talked about this before. This is the one pipe I have that really does Virginia leaf well by itself. I couldn't stand this pipe, really, when I was smoking Burleys in it. And one day I put some, I think it was 5100 red cake in it. It was a religious experience. Old khakis, great to see you, Wes. Hope all is well in Texas. So I always have to be aware of the fact that I'm smoking straight Virginia, because even the Cornell and Deal will fry my tongue if I'm not careful. If anyone sees me chooching, stop me. John Bradford, thanks for joining us. John Cullick, interesting question. I do have Meerschams. I have, I think, 4 of them. They're sort of like my my church wardens. They're not within easy reach, so I don't tend to smoke them as often. The one thing about Meerschaums, first of all, everybody's afraid of breaking them, and so am I. And when you first get them, the taste of them is kind of nasty. And some people say that even after smoking them a long time, they still get that funny clay taste to them, which doesn't particularly bother me. But I will smoke my church wardens a lot more often than I'll smoke the Meerschaums. And ever since I discovered Morta pipes, the Morta beats out Meerschaum by miles, except for that initial taste of when you're trying to char it. Oh, it's like smoking wet sneakers. Cobs, yes. You can't go wrong with cobs. Artful codgers in the house, Ben. Smooth Piper, Peter, great to see you as always. I love seeing all the bulldogs that you post on Facebook. Kenneth, I didn't know Peterson made Meerschaums. Learn something new every day. Titleist Golfer, thanks for joining us. Professor Jeremiah, good to see you. Dietrich Wilson. Everybody has a friend who's thrown up after smoking Haunted Bookshop. I have not smoked an electronic pipe and probably have no desire to do so. Yeah, Doug. Mears and clay pipes are probably more durable than we give them credit for, but you always hear a story about people breaking them and getting bummed out. Gesso Basso, good evening. 102 in the house. Didn't think that would be possible. Going up against Mr. Bruno. Don Miles is in the house. There's a guy who knows Burley. We'll take a minute to remind everybody to sign up for Briar Reports newsletter. Go to briarreport.com, get on their list. Next month or two, they're going to be dropping their big bomb. Information you will want to read about. Things are moving along very quickly here. Ronnie, Maryland tobacco. There's a question for Doug Owen. Doug, tell us what Maryland tobacco is. Tobacco grown in Maryland. Don Miles beat him to it. Maryland tobacco is a light air cured, like burley, sort of. Bill Buchanan, get a hold of Rick Black or Olive Wood Piper. If you're not sure how to get a hold of them, send me an email, matches860@gmail.com. Matches860 is everything spelled out. Gesso, yes, I do have a 14-inch clay. I love clay pipes. Wish I had more. I'm often tempted to snap my 14 down to like a 7-inch, but maybe someday I'll get a hold of a shorter one. Thank you, Doug Owen, for confirming that information. Lane 1Q. Where is Aristocob? He's our Lane 1Q man. Mark Stengel wants to know why so few black pipe smokers. I know a few. Gandalf wants to know how old is Summer? Uh-oh. We just went through this in the house a couple of nights ago. She's got to be, it was after 2006, so probably like 11 or something like that. All of our cats are old except for Belle. Belle is the baby. Oh, maybe I missed the question here. Are we trying to figure out why there aren't black pipe smokers or why there aren't black pipes? Somebody help me out here. Gandalf, very sorry to hear that. Nothing worse than losing a pet, almost. All right, maybe I did get it right. Doug Owen has several African American pipe smoking customers. Yeah, I can think of Smooth Piper, Lucky Piper. I know I've seen more. I just don't make a habit of writing them down. All right, so Smooth Piper has a black pipe too. I have a black pipe as well. It's called The Pipe, made out of some space age material back in the 1960s. Doesn't really smoke that great. Old khakis. Is that what those pipes are made out of? Bakelite? Something weird. No, it's not Brylon. I do have a Brylon pipe though. I still think everybody should have at least one Brylon pipe. They're not bad. Once you get them broken in, they're as good as a Briar. And a lot of people complain that the bowl gets too hot. But if you go easy on it, it's not bad. Leo. I know it. The question of my name matches comes up all the time because I use a Zippo. But I did start out using matches all the time. And when the stores started getting humongous and becoming superstores, for some reason they started moving the matches all over the place. Sometimes they were in the party aisle with candles. Sometimes they were in the charcoal aisle for cooking out. Sometimes they were in with like paper plates and other paper goods. I finally got sick of looking for them. And that's when I went to the Zippo. All I had to do was find a store that sold the fluid and the flints, and I was good to go. So that's how that all happened. Ralph McCulley, good to see you as always. A cat named Matches. How about that? Tinker Toy 701, good to see you. I think I'm going to get one more light out of this. Mark Marino, good evening. 113 in the house. Fantastic. If I could only take one pipe and one tobacco combination to a desert island, what would it be? Definitely a 673 and a truckload of haunted bookshop. Interesting, Jeffrey. But I've never lost a Zippo. I don't know why, but I've never lost one. No, the pipe adapter and Zippos. Nothing but a pain in the neck. I did a video one time about how to clean those things because they get carbon all over them. And I finally stopped using them because I got tired. You don't have to clean it, but it looks terrible. I got tired of cleaning them. And I can do just as well with a regular Zippo insert as anybody can do with the pipe insert. Oh, what should we smoke next? Oh. We will do the custom built from Byron Smith. This thing's fantastic. And since we have Ben in the house, we will do some half and half. I'm sure he approves. There are people who like bacon old-fashioned, believe me. If you read tobacco reviews, there are people on there that like it, at least the last time I looked. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, it doesn't get more old codgery than this. A custom built with half and half in it. Don Miles, I almost stuck a leftover Toscanello cigar in my pipe the other day. The stub is still sitting in the car. It may just happen yet. My half and half is a little moist still. Yes. I was trying to think of what was smoked in this, and it was Briggs mixture prior to my getting it. And that ghost is almost completely gone. I've smoked this pipe an awful lot. Dover pipes, I think you have something there. Austin Byerly, I have a few stories actually. They're all positive. I get the same comments everybody else gets. My favorite story was I was out on break at work, and one of the residents' sons, who of course was in his 60s or 70s, nah, he was probably in his 60s, came over and he said, "You mind if I sit here a few minutes just to smell your pipe?" So I was like, "Nah, help yourself." So he started telling me that his grandfather, I guess, smoked a pipe. And he had some great memories of his grandfather and always smelling the pipe tobacco. And so I ended up getting to know this guy. And every time he'd come in to visit his mother, he'd say, "Hey, when are you going out for a smoke? I'm going to go out and join you." And a number of people have said to me, "Wow, I didn't know people still smoke pipes." Because, of course, we've all gone private since whenever it was that they decided smoking was no good for you. But usually it's somebody saying that, yeah, my father, my grandfather smoked, and I love the smell of it. Brings back memories. Bona Piper. Do not apologize for being late. Gandalf, why do you think pipe smoking is not as popular now as in past years? There's a question for everybody. Of course, smoking in general isn't as popular as it was. And I think there are probably a lot more pipe smokers than we realize. Think of all the people that are on YouTube, and then all the ones that we don't know anything about. There have to be, I don't know, at least as many. I'm only guessing. Of course, if we have too many more of the vape things there exploding and giving people lung cancer and all of that stuff, maybe you'll see more pipe smokers. Sam. I think it's in the back of everybody's mind, because even though we're sure that this is safer than cigarettes, there are still risks involved. You can still get cancer, all sorts of different cancers. But for me, the mental benefit outweighs the physical. And the older I get, the less I worry about it. Is Mark in Rhode Island in the house? Michelle V, 222, good evening. Pongo Briar, great to see you. 127, wow, I never would have guessed. Yes. Charles, there's a lot to be said for anything that improves your mental health, because they know that stress can kill you, worrying can kill you. If you can sit and enjoy a pipe and relax, to me, you're doing yourself some good. Michelle V, 222 is a Microsoft tech now. She's been watching too many scam videos. Kenneth Solomon, autumn evening. Jeffrey Burke, velvet. Smooth Piper. Grandpa Bones, did he have a problem? I know I haven't seen him either on YouTube or on Facebook lately. Hope he's doing okay. I do not care for Lakeland blends. It's a little too much for me. Pipes and kayaks. I assume you're talking about Grandpa Bones being on Instagram. Sodak Piper, thanks for joining us. 130. We've gone beyond the usual of about 116. Joe White, good evening to you. Lakeland blends come from an area across the pond, which is called Lakeland, I believe. But anyway, the tobacco is flavored or cased or topped or whatever with a floral note to it. And some people describe it as a soapy taste. I think it depends on your palate. Yeah, some people say it's a flowery taste. Some people enjoy it. I would highly suggest trying it to see what you think about it, but don't get more than an ounce or two, because if you don't like it, you might be stuck with it a while. There should be a law against Lakeland blends in public places. I thought they had a fairly nice room note to them. Yeah, they will ghost your pipe worse than anything. Ivory soap. Ugh. Borkham Riff. I smoked my share of that stuff. Cherry whiskey. I would take Borkham Riff over Captain Black, but that's just me. Good evening, E River Tree. $7.62 by 51. You're never too late. Great to see you, buddy. Smooth Piper likes some Lakeland blends. I still have Coniston Plug, or Coniston something. It's a Lakeland. Find something you love and let it kill you. Yeah, really. Brad, Suburban Park. I'm really going to try next weekend, because it's Labor Day weekend, to get to Suburban Park and hopefully do a video about something. Fireman Piper, thank you. Coniston Cut Plug. Yeah, it's actually flakes if I can remember correctly. Oh, Butera blends. Yes, yes. Oh, 762 by 51. Thank you, thank you, thank you. GLP's Quiet Nights, never had it. The only GLPs I've really had, I mention all the time, is Key Largo. Probably the best cigar leaf blend that I found after sampling as many as I could find. GLPs, very knowledgeable guy. And unfortunately, I just never got around to trying his stuff. $133 in the house. This is outrageous. Odie Jones, several people have said they're on their way to the Columbus Pipe Show. For you people going, I hope you can link up with somebody. Have a bowl or two. Elmer Cook, what is the Cadillac of pipe tobacco? Oh my goodness. For me, it's Cornell and Deal. But, oh boy. J.F. Germain, Gowith and Hogarth, you name it. There's many of them out there. Peterson, even Sutliff, who's really has so many match blends that they've done well. Can't go without mention. And Doug Owen says that Cadillac is whatever you like, and I couldn't agree more. Professor Walker, great to see you. Odie Jones, McBaron, how could I forget? For me, McBaron is right behind Cornell and Deal. Matthew, I think anything you get from GLPs is probably going to be a really good stuff. We're going very quickly here. Rat trays, there's another one. Mark in Rhode Island, how you doing? Great to see you. Scottish blend. I always talk about Scottish blend because it dug me out of a very dark and deep hole several years back. see smoke pipes. Savinelli, I forget, they make a couple of tobaccos as well. Orlick Golden Sliced, another terrific one. I haven't had any of that for quite some time. Nightcap. Have a great evening, John. Thanks an awful lot for coming in. Billy Bud. Yes. It's a party for your palate. Jim Robert Armijo. Made it. And I hacked up your name, I'm sure. My apologies. Jeffrey Feinberg. Always leaving interesting comments on my videos. I appreciate it, Jeffrey. Mississippi River. There you go. Seattle Pipe Club blends also. Never had a bad one of those. Jim Cook, have a great evening. Thanks an awful lot for stopping in and have a great weekend. Smooth Piper, Granger, old school for sure. Pipes and kayaks. Edgeworth, yes, 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 yes. We are at 48 minutes past the hour of 7 with 128 in the house. Totally blown away because I was certain that still being a summer weekend, plus the fact that I was up against George Bruno, who was going live at 7 right along with me, I was getting very, very nervous. Tim V wants to know how the Halloween stories are coming along. I will give you a little preview about what I'm doing. Hopefully you will like it. I think this is what I'm doing. Decided to do a couple of ghost stories on lighthouse keepers in New England. Was kind of thinking about keeping this year's ghost stories within the maritime genre, maybe even some ghost ship stories. So I've read a couple of them, tried to commit some to memory, and I'll do like, I don't know, I'll pick 5 or 6 of them, and the 3 maybe or 4 that I can do the best, we'll save them for Halloween stories. Because I've kind of talked about early New England farmers when they had the problem with tuberculosis, which back then was called consumption. We kind of did that whole route, and that was kind of mixed in with vampires. We did the witches. So there were an awful lot of fishermen and maritime folks in New England. So we'll kind of go up that road, I think. Oh, yes, and certainly Doug Owen will appreciate these because he's right on the water there out in Paulsbo, Washington. And his store sells nautical artifacts, items, whatever. Tinker Toy 701. You'll have to tune in because I got a couple of good haunted lighthouse stories. So coming up on 52 and a half minutes past the hour, I think we're going to wrap this up and call it a very successful evening. My thanks to everyone for showing up against all odds. And as I mentioned before, next weekend is Labor Day weekend. But I expect I will still be here. So we will look for you then. In the meantime, have a great rest of the weekend and a great upcoming week.